For this video, we'll look at the judging criteria for both fiction categories of comedy and drama. If you've already judged one of these two categories, then you may skip ahead and begin judging the student entries. So let's go over what we're looking for as you judge the fiction entries. For the first measure, we'll be looking for a piece to tell a complete story while maintaining the interest of the viewer. The ideal story will have a beginning, middle, and end, while leaving the viewer with a sense of completeness. So if you find yourself losing interest in the story's progress, this may be an indication of a meandering story. The second line will have you judging whether the entry is able to evoke an emotion and create a feel throughout the narrative. For this, you will look at whether the piece was able to make you feel sad, make you laugh, or any other type of emotion. The third line asks you to give a technical score. For a high score in the technical aspects of production, the ideal piece will have clean video, show thoughts as to the placement of light or available light, have clean sound, and have good B-roll with no jump cuts. For instance, if you find yourself turning the audio up and down throughout the piece, then the student failed to make adjustments to the levels properly. If you can't make out visually what's on the screen, then perhaps the student should have made adjustments to the lighting. Of course, if you feel that the broken rule was done so for artistic reasons, then you have the privilege to judge it accordingly. Lastly, you'll give a presentation grade for the piece that you have just viewed. Here, you'll look for the performances to be natural, compelling, and have dialogue that is clearly spoken. This fourth measure will be graded based on pieces that have performances that contribute to the effectiveness of the storytelling. This grade also includes clarity of the story and whether the story is easy for the viewer to follow. Once again, a grade of 1 will be given for entries that have poor presentation of the story, while a grade of 10 will be given to entries that have excellent clarity and presentation. The next two parts of the judging form provide grades for the subcategories, Best Editing and Best Videography. For each of these two subcategories, there are 3 points that you can base a grade upon. If you've already judged another category, then the following subcategories are the same throughout, so feel free to skip over the rest of this video and begin judging the student entries. The first measure you'll look at in judging the videography of the piece is how the camera operator showed skill amongst the technical aspects of camera use. For judging technical aspects of videography, we look at the student's ability to properly operate the camera and the awareness of the proper settings of the camera. The ideal entry will be properly white balanced, properly framed, sharply focused, and correctly exposed. The correct use of a tripod, the use of lights when available light is low, and the proper use of microphones should be considered as well. The judging grades will be on a scale of 1 to 10, just as it was in the last sections. A grade of 1 is the lowest and 10 is the highest. Next, you'll look at how the videography in the piece enhanced the overall quality of the student production. When judging the artistic merit of the videography, we want to see students use videography as a storytelling tool. Consider the use of close-ups, cutaways, and B-roll shots in a way that enhances effectiveness of the piece. Lastly, we'll grade how well the videographer used innovative composition in a creative and artistic approach. A high score in this measure would be the product of an outside-the-box approach to video composition and will exhibit innovation in the approach to capturing a subject matter. Consider camera angles, how the subject is portrayed, and how these elements contribute to a cohesive theme, and make a grade based on that. The third and last area of judging looks at the editing of the piece. The entry that receives the highest score here will win the Best Editing Award. You'll first make a judgment on the technical aspects of the editing in the piece. The highest score should be given to entries that exhibit good technical ability in the editing of the piece. This means that there will be no jump cuts, the audio will transition smoothly and be evenly set throughout the piece, music will be mixed well and never overpower any of the voices in the foreground, and there are no unpleasant gaps or breaks within the piece. A big consideration of a skilled editor is always continuity. So for the second measure, we ask that you take a look at how well the student showed awareness of sequencing edits that carry the viewer through the cohesive story. Lastly, the third measure of judging for the Best Editing category is its overall artistic aspects. Judging artistic merit of the piece will look more at the pace and feel of how the entry was edited. The higher score will be given to pieces that take us through the story with seamless transitions and pace the edits considering the emotional state of the viewer. For instance, if an action sequence seems meandering, then perhaps the student failed to pace the edits properly in that scene. That's all of the judging criteria that you will be putting in for each entry. Now, one thing to remember is that by giving a score of 10, you're stating that the video entry exhibits elements that you would consider to be the winning entry. So be sure to save your perfect scores for the videos that you feel should win. And just as a side note, to those that are unable to complete the survey in one sitting, you should know that in some cases, you can pick up where you left off. So as long as you don't quit your web browser or shut down your computer in the middle of the judging form, you should be able to get back to your spot. In fact, I've received reports saying that even after shutting down the browser, some judges were able to go to the survey via their history menu and get back to where they left off. So thanks again for your time and commitment to judging the Merrimack Valley Film Festival. We can't do this without you, and your efforts contribute to a wonderful experience for the high school students within the Valley. Enjoy the judging, and feel free to get in touch with me if you have any questions or issues. Also, if you'd like to judge another category or more categories, let me know and I'll send it right along through an email.